Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 21 of our favorite rock guitar teams of all time. Today, we're going to talk about two dudes, actually three we're going to talk about, even though all three weren't in the same band at the same time. It's a British band, pretty legendary band. The main guy who was in the band from the start until his untimely death, they kind of continued without him for a little bit. Kind of strange, but he was one of the great singers of all time. One of the great, just pure, soulful, rockin' voices, and a great rhythm player. Played some leads too, but he wasn't really known as the lead player in this band. But he had the pleasure of working alongside two tremendous lead guitar players. So I'm going to talk about both of these configurations here. The band is Humble Pie. The constant throughout the band, the mighty voice, and the killer rhythm guitar player, Steve Marriott. Of course, originally on their debut album, As Safe as Yesterday Is, in the late 60s, it was Mr. Marriott alongside the young phenom known as Peter Frampton. Right? Peter Frampton, very fluid, bluesy, jazzy player. Whereas you had, Mr. Marriott, Steve Marriott, was more of just like a rock solid rhythm and blues, bluesy hard rock rhythm guitar player. And again, played some leads here and there, but it was mostly, throughout the history of this band, he was mostly the rhythm guy. But he did do some dueling with Mr. Frampton and another guy we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Great stuff here. There's all sorts of live albums here. Here's some stuff, early stuff from the Whiskey A Go-Go. You've got the self-titled Humble Pie album. Really good stuff on here. Live With Me is on here, right? Off that first album, you got classics like the title track, Desperation. Then, of course, the more acoustic-based album, right? Their third album, Town and Country. Pretty good stuff on there, too. I'm not a huge fan of that album, but... and then, of course, Rock On, which, could be the best Humble Pie studio album. Get Shine On here, Stone Cold Fever, Rolling Stone, Strange Days, a song for Jenny the Light. Good hard rocking album because these guys could rock. They could rock together quite well. And with that voice, and then of course Greg Ridley on bass, Jerry Shirley on drums, and Greg Ridley also sang some lead vocals on these early albums, as well as Peter Frampton sang some stuff on the early albums. But of course the pinnacle, I think, for this particular lineup is the Humble Pie Performance Rockin' the Fillmore live album. This is big and ballsy, lots of jamming on here, lots of experimentation. Steve Marriott, killer vocals, man, so powerful, so soulful. One of the great singers of all time. Steve Marriott, I think, doesn't get his due. He is up there with the Paul Rodgers, with the Glenn Hughes, with the Coverdales, with the Mercurys, with the Plants, with the Gillans. I mean, he's up there. He's just one of the most amazing guys ever. 4-Day Creep. This album rocks. I'm Ready. Stone Cold Fever. I Walk on Gilded Splinters. Rolling Stone. 16 Minutes in Chains. Hallelujah, I Love Her So, and I Don't Need No Doctor, which, of course, big riffing. You've got Marriott's crunchy riffs on there, blazing leads, kind of jazzy leads from Peter Frampton. Mr. Frampton would actually leave the band after this particular album, and he would be replaced by none other than a very, very capable player as well, direct from Coliseum. Of course, I'm talking about Clem Clemson. Dave Clem Clemson comes on board for the Smokin' album. And is this a smoking album or what? Also, tied with the other album that I was talking about here, which is of course the Rock On album, which is probably, for my money, the best studio album of the Frampton era. I think that Smokin' is the strongest studio album from the Clemson era. Again, Hot and Nasty, The Fixer. Come On Everybody, great on here. 30 Days in the Hole, one of their more popular tunes. Roadrunner, great stuff on here. It's bluesy, it's heavy. That's the thing about Humble Pie. It's like you really you never could get too set on what to expect from this band, because they did bluesy stuff, they did kind of R&B type stuff, they did funky stuff, they did like almost like kind of folky country stuff, they did straight soul, right? They did heavy rock close to proto metal. They did it all, right? You got the Eat It album, which again has another good album with a lot of material on it. Some of it really good, some of it not quite so good, but here you get like all the different flavors of the pie. You get that? All the different flavors of the pie. Simon, you watching? That's like a Simon Bray line right there. Thunderbox, more good stuff on Thunderbox. Okay, there's other albums they worked on together, but I think if you want to get like the full piece of the pie, I'm here all day, folks. They're in their element live. I mean, that's what it's all about. So here you've got the King Biscuit Flower Hour presents Humble Pie live in concert. There is Steve Marriott playing his trusty Gibson Les Paul Custom. This is, of course, recorded at the Winterland Arena in the 70s, and this is with Clem Clemson. They smoke on this. This is almost as good as the Rock in the Fillmore album. Almost as good. All the great songs on here. Thunderous renditions of some of their classics, and quite good. This is really a great two-guitar band, and no matter, and that's the difficult part, like who's my favorite guitar tandem in this band between these guys? It's kind of hard to say, right? Because they're both so excellent. Just a shame we didn't get like all three of them playing at the same time. That would have been kind of cool. But, they're very different players because, like I said, Frampton is much more of a fluid, melodic, kind of jazzy, bluesy player, whereas Clemson is much more of the big rock tones, right? He's also a really good blues guy as well, but he's more of a fiery rock player, and maybe not quite as melodic as Frampton, but just as good as in his own right. I love both of these guys tremendously. So, and of course, Steve Marriott, great rhythm player. I mean, he's the guy coming up with all these riffs on these albums, but he does play some leads too as well. So, Humble Pie is my pick for today. Steve Marriott, either with Peter Frampton or with Clem Clemson. It's a great guitar team, either way you look at it, or either way you look at it. So let us know what you think of the Humble Pie guitar duos in the comments below, as well as your pick for day 21 down below. And visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Stay tuned for more coming up tomorrow. And we've got Martin Popoff and myself at the Fun House just coming up very shortly, so stay tuned for that. And what else? Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. Please click the like button before you leave us as well. And if you do want to pick up some cool Sea of Tranquility merch, the link to our merch page is below, as well as the link to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations. And thanks for watching, everybody. See you tomorrow with more guitar talk here on the channel. I am Pete Pardo. Take care. Bye-bye.